Come. Come. Hello, Christina. How are you? Okay.
Reading what you did. You wanted to see the manifesto, to check about see it later.
You want to distribute the press releases?
We thought we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
What do you normally do?
Can be done at the end. Better to do it.
We will be reading it on
Should we start?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. This press conference has been called to tell the people of Tamil Nadu as to what is the real character of these two regional parties here, that is the DMK and the Anna DMK, that they indulge in the same kind of crony capitalism, that they have, like the Congress and the BJP, also become puppets in the hands of some large corporates who seem to be controlling both of them. Before I get into those details, I just want to present the larger picture before the country. As all of you know, elections are on in the country, and the country at a national level is being asked to choose between the Congress and the BJP or the UPA and the NDA. In Tamil Nadu, The voters are being told to choose between the DMK and the Anna DMK primarily. But we have seen, and we have seen mountainous evidence of the fact that there is no real difference between these parties when it comes to corruption and crony capitalism. When the Congress is in power, it favors its own cronies. When the BJP is in power, it favors its own cronies. And the loot and corruption remains the same. We are seeing the same pattern here in Tamil Nadu. But what is now increasingly apparent is that there are now some very large companies in the country, in Tamil Nadu, which appear to be controlling all these political parties. And therefore, whether we vote for the Congress or the BJP at a national level, the ruling party changes, the faces change, but the real people who control remain the same. As you all know that we saw the Radia tapes, Meera Radia, who was the corporate lobbyist of Reliance, Tata and some of the other largest corporations in this country. Her phones were tapped by the income tax department. Luckily for the people, the tapes became public, and from those we could see how these companies are really controlling the entire establishment in the country. Companies like Reliance and Tata, particularly Reliance, and how the Congress and the BJP have both become puppets in their hands. And that is why when the largest scam in this country takes place recently, the biggest scam in history, that is the gas price scam, where the UPA government at the center took a decision to increase the price of gas to be paid to Reliance Industries from $4.20 to $8.40, which was to take effect from 1st April. Fortunately, it has not taken effect because the Election Commission put a ban on that price increase. So this price increase from $4.20 to $8.40 is so unconscionable, so totally unjustified, that when Reliance had itself in an open tender, global tender floated by NTPC, bid $2.34 in 2007, which was a price to be valid for 17 years. Where is the justification of increasing the price from even $4.20, which was itself too high and unconscionable, to $8.40? This one decision will cost the Indian taxpayer 54,000 crores annually. And when this largest scam in this country takes place, none of the opposition parties, particularly the BJP, which cries hoarse when Congress does a scam favoring their own cronies, but here they were remarkably silent. We challenged the BJP and Mr. Modi repeatedly to come clean on their stand, whether they opposed this gas price hike or defended it. They didn't say a word. And soon thereafter, we got that document which explained why they didn't say a word. This was a letter from the Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation, controlled by the Gujarat government, sent to the central government, saying that they wanted the prices to be increased, gas prices to be increased from $4.20 to $14.20, which means instead of a loot of 54,000 crores annually, it would have meant a loot of 90,000 crores annually. So you have this phenomenon of some very large companies which have become the masters of all these political parties, and these parties have become puppets in their hands. Therefore, while faces change, parties change in the government, the real control and the real rule remains the same. That is why uh, we have asked this question: do the people of this country want Ambani Sarkar or Aam Aadmi Sarkar? Because if you, whether you vote for the Congress or the BJP or the DMK or the Anna DMK, the control remains the same with people, with these large corrupt corporations like Reliance. In Tamil Nadu now, coming to this current expose. See, in Tamil Nadu, all these, the DMK and the Anna DMK have decided that alcohol sales in Tamil Nadu must be allowed to increase, must be encouraged, because they feel it's a source of, great source of revenue. It doesn't matter if as a result of this alcohol abuse in the state, women are beaten up, enormous domestic violence takes place, enormous crime takes place, families are destroyed, women are destroyed, children are destroyed, but this must go on. But not merely, and not because the state revenue increases. The real story here is that the owners of some of the biggest beneficiaries of alcohol sales have been found to be people who are cronies of or benamis of the people who control the DMK and the Anna DMK. Tell you two specific examples. In Tamil Nadu, there is a company called Midas Distilleries. This was set up in 2002 by a gentleman called S. Vaikunta Rajan. I am sure that many of you have heard this name. This gentleman, in fact, I would say that this gentleman is here. Now, this gentleman sets up this company in 2002. Clearly, it has a Midas touch. Midas was this mythological figure. Everything he touched turned into gold. Now, the question is, whose touch is turning this company into gold or their revenues into gold? Clearly, it is the touch of Miss Jayalalitha. In 2000 and between 2003-4 to 2005-6, when the Jayalalitha government and the ADMK government was here in Tamil Nadu, the sales of this Midas distilleries increased from 12 lakh cases to 51 lakh cases just over a period of 2 years. And these are sold to the government, that is to this Tasmak, which is a government-owned company which purchases and thereafter sells all alcohol in the state. This Midas Distilleries is taken over by Shashikala and her relatives through a maze of companies in 2009. And between 2010-11 and 2012-13, that is in another just 2 years, the sales of this company increased from 360 crores to 1077 crores. In December, on 19 December 2011, Ms. Sasikala is expelled from the party by Ms. Jayalalitha. As you know, Shashikala is a very close associate of Jayalalitha, was and still is. But for a brief while, she was expelled from the party and from the residence of Ms. Jayalalitha where she was staying. So on 19 December, she is expelled. But 3 days before that, these 9 companies which indirectly control Midas distilleries, their directors are changed overnight, 3 days before she is expelled, and instead of Shashikala and her relatives, Mr. Cho Ramaswamy is brought in as a director in all these companies. Shashikala is inducted back by Ms. Jayalalitha in 2012, in March 2012, and sure enough, immediately after that, Mr. Cho Ramaswamy disappears from these companies and Shashikala and her relatives are back. Clearly, these are Benami companies owned by Ms. Jayalalitha. There is little doubt that these are Benami companies owned by Ms. Jayalalitha through and held through her associates like Shashikala or for a brief while through Mr. Cho Ramaswamy. This scam, the alcohol scam, I am just using this as one example because we have all the documents and all the evidence that we have collected on this. I am sure that this is the case across the board in the state. During the DMK time, there were also two companies, one called Elite Distilleries, owned by Mr. Jagat Rakshakan, who is a DMK MP and his family, and another company called SNJ Distilleries, which is owned by one gentleman called Jay Murugan, who produced 2 films of Mr. Karunanidhi. Now the revenues of these 2 companies, Elite Distilleries increases from 0 in 2007-8 to 712 crores in 11-12. That is during the DMK's regime. SNJ Distilleries increases from 0 in 2008-9 to 940 crores in 11-12 in a period of just 3 years. So you can see that this also has the Midas touch or had the Midas touch. Of course, their revenues decreased after the Anna DMK government came. So when the governments change, the cronies change and the patronage of the government shifts to their cronies. But we have this gentleman called Mr. S. Vaikuntha Rajan, who owns this VV Minerals. Now, as I said, VV Minerals used to own, it had set up this, Mr. Vaikuntha Rajan had set up this company called Midas Distilleries. And he transferred it to Shashikala in 2009. Shashikala threw a maze of companies in 2009. And she was allowed to have this golden goose by this gentleman. Now this gentleman runs a company called VV Minerals, which is involved in huge illegal sand mining as reported by the collector of Tuticorin about a year and a half ago. This sand contains very, very valuable precious stones. It contains very, very valuable minerals and are believed to contain large quantities of thorium, which is a very, very valuable mineral. After the report of that collector, an inquiry was constituted. We were supposed to get an inquiry because it became a matter of a public scandal. So Ms. Jayalalitha had no option but to order an inquiry into the matter. Of course, it was an inquiry ordered through the collector himself, through the revenue secretary. But more than a year has elapsed since then, and we have not heard of any report. It's obvious that no report will come, or even if a report comes, it will be a whitewash job. Because when you have such close connections, and this golden goose has been passed on, or this Midas Distilleries has been passed on by this gentleman to Miss Jayalalitha, obviously nothing is going to happen to him. And this gentleman apparently has become so powerful that he has thrived during the DMK regime, thriving during the Anna DMK regime, and therefore I said he is perhaps the Reliance or the Ambani of Tamil Nadu. So the country is faced with this kind of choice. It's a choice between Tweedledee and Tweedledum, between the frying pan and the fire, between the devil and the deep sea. Ultimately, the control, as I said, remains with those same corrupt corporations which control these parties. The same kind of cronyism, the same kind of corruption continues. For the first time in history, we have a different kind of choice before the people. And that is the Aam Aadmi Party, which has been born out of the movement, which is committed not merely to providing an honest government, but which is committed to changing or rather revolutionizing the political system in this country, making democracy more participatory, making or decentralizing power, having forms of direct democracy or systems of initiatives and referendums through which the power of these elected representatives decreases and that power is transferred directly to the people. So, this is the situation in the state. David can tell you a little more about the details. I think I have sketched out the scene generally.
So just one quick clarification. Are you saying these liquor distilleries are owned by benamis of both Ms. Jayalalitha and Mr. Karunanidhi?
No, I am not saying Karunanidhi there.
Okay.
There I am saying that these are cronies of Mr. Karunanidhi. These two companies are owned by cronies. One of them is owned by an MP of the DMK. The other is owned by a producer who produced two of Mr. Karunanidhi's films or scripts that he had written in 2008 and 2010. So far as this Midas distilleries is concerned, there is considerable evidence to suggest that this Midas distilleries is owned benami, essentially by Ms. Jayalalitha, through a maze of companies which are in turn held by Sasikala. For the time when she went out of favor, Sasikala was replaced, Cho Ramaswamy was brought in. So the evidence clearly shows that these are benami companies of Ms. Jayalalitha. And if any proper investigation is ever done into this matter, that will come out. Of course, we also have this curious situation where the Chief Minister of the state is being prosecuted for disproportionate assets, where several ministers, including Mr. Raja, Mr. Dayanadi Maran, are facing prosecution for corruption in the 2G scam belonging to the DMK. So,
So the modus operandi, according to you, would be
of
these companies?
the modus operandi is very clear. They get government contracts. You see, government buys liquor from these. In fact, recently the High Court here has said that there is no system, there is no transparency. Just as there was no transparency, no system of giving out mining leases. Similarly, there is no transparency, no system of giving contracts for purchasing liquor by this TASMAC, which is a government company, which purchases liquor from them, from these companies. So, you can give all the contracts to your cronies. This is only one company about which we have been able to get evidence. There must be others also.
I think we'll get questions after.
Just No. You see, they are held by each other and so on. But ultimately, the ownership of these 9 companies is by one person, because on one day, the directors of all these 9 companies were changed from Shashikala and her relatives to this Cho Ramaswamy.
So that one person you are saying Jayalalitha.
That obviously, that's what I am saying, that it has to be. There is no other explanation for all this. In circumstantial, they say that You can convict a person even for murder and send him to the gallows on circumstantial evidence. I say that here the circumstantial evidence is more than enough to say that these are Benami companies of Ms. Jayalalitha.
I will only try and substantiate what Mr. Prashant Bhushan has said in three specific areas. One is about Midas and Midas's links with Shashikala and Jayalalitha. The second is about the liquor companies during the time of the DMK and Karunanidhi. And the third is about the links between Shashikala and Vaikuntha Rajan. First, about Midas. We all know about Midas and its growth. Mr. Prashant Bhushan has already told you how much it's grown. Can you give us the press release so that we can No, no, because you'll be able to follow it. It's a detailed press release, and so the time taken distributed will be 10 minutes. So please bear with me for just 5 minutes. I won't take more than 5 minutes of your time.
After 5.
Please. TASMAC does not have a transparent procedure for issuing orders and indents to IMFL manufacturers. This has been purposely done so as to benefit companies of party men, and this has been pointed out by the Madras High Court in its order on 13/3/2014, which is very recently. In retailing, in deciding who to buy from, both the DMK and the Anna DMK have used the TASMAC to favor their own companies. Midas Golden Distilleries is a prime example of this kind of capitalism, crony capitalism. When the Anna DMK came to power in May 2011, its turnover went up from 360 crores to 1,077 crores in a short time. Midas, the major supplier to TASMAC, is indirectly owned partially by Ms. Shashikala, friend of Ms. Jayalalitha, Ms. Ilavarasi, Ms. Shashikala's sister-in-law, and Sri Jaya Finance and Investments, which is majorly owned by Ms. Ilavarasi. Then comes another interesting part is that Midas is currently, that was the time when it was owned earlier, currently it is owned by Hot Wheels Engineering Private Limited, Signet Exports Private Limited, Hot Wheel Engineering, and these companies in turn are owned by, Shashikala has 31% shareholding in Hot Wheels, Shashikala's sister-in-law has some holding, Sri Jaya Finance and Investments has some holding. So you see the link between all these companies in terms of their shareholding patterns. Now, many of the companies controlled by Ms. Shashikala and group were formed with very little capital, 1 lakh capital. But the transactions between them are much more than 1 lakh. For example, Sri Jaya Finance and Investments have got share application money, not actually shares, but just share application money, to the tune of more than 5 crores from G. Jaya Publications between 2005 and 2012. And according to the affidavit of Ms. Jayalalitha herself in her nomination papers in 2011, she is a partner in Sri Jaya Publications. Money got through the share application method is then transferred to other similar companies. Apart from this, Ms. Jayalalitha has also given an unsecured loan of rupees 1.85 crores to Sri Jaya Finance and Investments in 2008 and 9. All this just shows the web of relationship, financial relationships between all these companies. Now let's come to the second example of crony capitalism, which is during the DMK period. Now in the DMK period, they had given license to 2 companies close to them, which Mr. Prashant Bhushan has already pointed out, Elite Distilleries, and then to S&J Distilleries. Elite Distilleries is owned largely by companies which in turn are owned by family members of Sri Jagat Rakshagan. The details and the press release will just be given to you. S&J Distilleries is owned by Jayamurugan, and you know that he was produced 2 films on scripts penned by Mr. Karunanidhi. Liquor has become a major problem in Tamil Nadu, and although both the DMK and the Anna DMK have been on record saying that they allowed the sale of liquor through TASMAC because it gives money to fund welfare schemes, another important reason which they do not say is that this gives them a conduit through which they and their party men can benefit greatly. And that is what we're trying to point out today. The third thing is the links between Shashikala's family and Vaikuntha Rajan of VV Minerals. Why VV Minerals is important is because the size of the revenue which is possible from beach sand mining is enormous. It is estimated that 30% of the world's resources of thorium are present in the beaches of the southern three districts of Tamil Nadu. And the value of this 30% of thorium resources can be estimated to be 720 times more than the 2G spectrum scam. And the 2G spectrum scam itself, was supposed to have caused a loss of 1.6 lakh crores. And this amount, total amount potential for scam is 720 times that amount. So the amount of money available through beach sand mining is enormous. And that most of this trade is concentrated in the hands of one person, a Tirunelveli businessman called S. Vaikuntarajan. He is the one who is controlling most of this business. And the links between him and Midas were already told by Mr. Prashant Bhushan, how Midas was started by them, then handed over to people related to Ms. Shashikala, and how this relationship has continued from then up to now. So this web of Vaikuntarajan, Shashikala, Ilavarasi, Jayalalitha and a few others is the real network which is today controlling Tamil Nadu. You have all seen and know that in every election a large amount of money is spent, and we all like to know where that money came from. Now to some extent we know where money is present in the system, and that is in this link between Vaikuntarajan and Midas and Shashikala. So in conclusion, we just want to say that both the Anna DMK and the DMK are part of the two sides of the same coin. Mr. Prashant Bhushan has pointed out, nothing changes. Whichever comes to power, the commercial interests remain unchanged. Corruption in our state is a fact of life, right from the ordinary panchayat office and the ordinary police station up to the very top. Sometimes people say that the Aam Aadmi Party was campaigning against corruption in North India, but I would like to say that the fountainhead of corruption is in Tamil Nadu, and that is why the Aam Aadmi Party has a real need to be active here in Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Do you have any evidence saying that staff marks being favored in tender, in buying,
We don't even need to say that. The Madras High Court has said it in their judgment.
Madras High Court has said that there is no system. That's all done arbitrarily. See, the Madras High Court has said that there is no system, it's all done arbitrarily. Now, when you see such a dramatic rise in fortunes of one particular company, which is clearly owned by close associates of the Chief Minister, it's obvious what is going on. When the government changes, their fortunes fall. As we have seen that in the case of those two which were being favored by the DMK, as soon as the Anna DMK government came, the fortunes fell. So it's obvious that cronies are being favored in this business of giving contracts for liquor, etc. in Tamil Nadu, and this is going on a very large scale here.
And Mr. Prashant Bhushan, you also mean to say that Mr. Vaikuntarajan has gone too big to be controlled by either DMK and AIDMK autocrats?
See, he is clearly big because beach sand mining here is very, very big business. And this illegal beach sand mining has been going on through his company during the DMK regime and during the Anna DMK regime. And other than this token inquiry which is ordered, nothing is really done to stop that. And we are seeing that this gentleman clearly transferred this very company, Midas Distilleries, to Shashikala and her relatives in 2009. So the linkages are very clear.
Sir, you mentioned about Mr. Chor Ramasamy. Here is a person who has positioned himself as an anti-corruption crusader and who has criticized Congress for a long time for indulging in this corruption. Are you saying that he has aided the corruption in this particular issue?
Well, the record speaks for itself. When Mr. Chor Ramaswamy becomes the director, that 3 days before Ms. Shashikala is removed from the Anna DMK, removed from the residence of Ms. Jayalalitha, 3 days before that, Chor Ramaswamy decides to become director in all these companies owned by Shashikala. How does this happen? What is the explanation for this?
his hand on, has that fluctuated in the same way that no, you see with?
No, that's a matter which will need to be investigated further. Perhaps some of you should investigate that as to what has been happening. But I am saying that it's absolutely clear that in this business in particular, and perhaps in most businesses in the state, cronies are being favored, and the whole thing is going on the basis of corruption, cronyism, etc.
So now that you say that dal mein kuch kala hai, what kind of investigation?
दाल काली है, दाल में कुछ काला है.
What kind of investigation is the Aam Aadmi Party demanding as far as this liquor scam, alleged liquor scam is concerned? What kind of investigation?
No, we are saying that this matter in fact needs to be handed over to an independent investigating agency. If there had been an independent Lokpal, the Lokpal ought to have handled it. Unfortunately, they have not allowed the setting up of any independent Lokpal, and therefore probably the only relatively more independent agency would be the CBI. But you see, even the CBI is eventually controlled by the central government. And we know that these regional parties, the DMK and the NR-DMK, they are both willing to go with whoever is in power at the center. This is a problem that we are seeing, and therefore whether even the CBI will be able to do an independent investigation or not, strictly by his family.
தமிழ் ப்ரெஸ் ரிலீஸ் எல்லாருக்கும் கொடுத்துருக்கோம். தமிழில் கேள்விகள் கேட்கணுன்னாலும் கேட்கலாம். தமிழில் ஒரு சுருக்கமாக சொல்லணுன்னா சொல்லுவோம் தேவைப்பட்டுச்சுன்னா.
Mr. Bhushan, in fact, as of now, how do you assess the impact of AAP in Tamil Nadu elections in a way?
Well, I have been yesterday and day before to Kanyakumari and to Tuticorin, and there is certainly a very enthusiastic response among the people. As to what will happen in the elections, we can't say, but certainly the people of Tamil Nadu definitely see Aam Aadmi Party as a party which brings in a huge breath of fresh air, a party which is very different from these mainstream political parties, and therefore they are very sympathetic, they are very enthusiastic about this party. But you see, elections unfortunately are also won or lost on these perceptions as to whether this party is likely to win or not. If they sometimes feel, if people get an impression that this party is not likely to win, then even though they are very sympathetic, they want this party, but they still don't end up voting for the party. But I hope in at least Kanyakumari as well as in Tuticorin, the kind of support that I saw, I strongly believe that Aam Aadmi Party will win at least these two constituencies in Tamil Nadu and perhaps many others. I have seen just these two so far. That's why I'm saying on the basis of what I have seen so far.
But there has been a critique that the AAP is basically and fundamentally it is a North Indian party. So how do you take on that criticism?
And now you can see that our party has set up candidates across the country in Andhra, Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, everywhere. 25 in Tamil Nadu, 15 in Kerala. So about 75% of the constituencies of Spain, we had constituted a state election committee. That is,
It's a 5-member committee and
no, there चल रहा है. सारे स्टेट्स में चल रहा है, ज़्यादातर स्टेट्स में चल रहा है. सारे तो मैं नहीं कहूँगा, ज़्यादातर स्टेट्स में चल रहा है. अब अगर हम लोग हर केस करप्शन का वहाँ दिल्ली में बैठकर एक्सपोज करते रहें, तब तो हम लोग सिर्फ यही करते रहेंगे और कुछ काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. हिंदुस्तान में ऐसा भयंकर करप्शन चल रहा है पूरे देश में, तो इसलिए जो हम लोगों को बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट लगता है और जो हमारे पास आता है, जिसका मटेरियल हमारे पास आता है, वो तो हम लोग वहाँ से कर देते हैं. बाकी जो ये स्टेट का करप्शन है, जैसे ये तमिलनाडु का है, तो ये हमारी तमिलनाडु की टीम ने किया है. मैं यहाँ था इसलिए मैंने ये प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस एड्रेस करी है, पर ये हमारी तमिलनाडु की टीम ने ये सारा करप्शन का इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया है, इसका एक्सपोजे किया है. the same steps that we are planning to take everywhere else. You see, in the Delhi government, firstly, we set up a corruption helpline. Secondly, we started introducing more transparency. We were in the process of introducing more transparency in the functioning of the government. In fact, instead of right to information, we believe in proactive transparency. We believe in video cameras being there in all public offices, which should be, the record of which should be accessible to the people. Secondly, we wanted to bring this Jan Lokpal bill in Delhi, and as all of you know, because we were prevented by the Congress and the BJP from even introducing that bill, then our government had to resign and call for fresh elections. But unfortunately, the Congress and BJP have again combined in order to allow president's rule to continue and not have fresh elections. But we will do all these things. In fact, if you look at our Jan Lokpal bill, the draft of the original bill, there are some miscellaneous provisions which deal with transparency in the award of contracts, transparency in giving away leases, etc., etc. So therefore, all those things would be done.
Sorry, I just want to add one point to what, just 1 minute please, to what the question here. One of the points the Aam Aadmi Party has been raising for a long time in Tamil Nadu is that we don't have a Lok Ayukta in Tamil Nadu, which is one way of stopping corruption. We have been asking for it, but neither the DMK nor the Anna DMK is supporting this proposal.
Correct.
About the communist alliance. ஆமாம், இப்போ நாங்கள் 25 தொகுதிகளில் நாங்கள் வேட்பாளர்கள் நிப்பாட்டியிருக்கோம். 10 தொகுதிகளில் கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி வேட்பாளர் நிற்காத தொகுதிகளில் அவங்க நமக்கு ஆதரவு தெரிவிச்சிருக்காங்க. அவங்க சிபிஎம் சிபிஐ இது ரெண்டும் சேர்ந்து முடிவு எடுத்தது. கண்டிப்பாக நம்ம கேண்டிடேட்ஸ்க்கு அவங்க ஆதரவு கொடுப்பாங்க. அதே மாதிரி எங்கெல்லாம் நாங்கள் வேட்பாளர்கள் நிப்பாட்டலையோ அங்கே நம்ம வாலண்டியர்ஸ் எல்லாரும் கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சிகளுக்கும் அல்லது நல்லோர் சுயேட்சைகள் யாராவது இருந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்களுக்கு நாங்கள் ஓட்டு போடுவோம்.
So can we take this as a first step towards a larger alliance between the AAP and the left?
So therefore, to that extent, our concerns are allied, but I think it's premature to talk of any kind of alliance right now.
Sir, will you assure that other than DMK and ADMK, no parties are engaged in these type of activities?
No, of course they do. Samajwadi Party, the Bahujan Samaj Party in UP, most of these mainstream parties which have been in power in this country, whether in the states or in the center, have become thoroughly corrupt. Even the CPM government in West Bengal had become corrupt. Mr. Achyutanandan was an honest chief minister there, but his own party chief, that Pinarayi, is involved in some corruption cases, etc. So unfortunately, what we have seen, the phenomenon that we are seeing across the country is that mainstream parties which have been in power in the center and the states have by and large got corrupted, unfortunately.
So with regard to BV Miller's case, the current Advocate General on the part of the government was a former counsel of BV Miller's.
So what further evidence is required that this inquiry is going to be a farce?
No, I'm wondering why you could talk about it.
No, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that, but if that is the case, then that's further evidence to show that this will be a farce.
Right at the beginning, Mr. Prashant Bhushan said that there is mountainous evidence. We have just given a small sample of that evidence. Before the next question, just we take 1 minute to introduce the 5 candidates who are standing in Chennai. So please stand. On the left extreme is Mr. J. Prabhakar, who is a candidate from Central Chennai. Next to him is Mr. Zahid Hussain, who is a candidate from South Chennai. Next to him is Mr. Srinivasan, a cricketer who is a candidate from North Chennai. Next to him is Mr. Vasikaran, who is a candidate from Sri Perambuttur. And last but definitely not the least is Mr. Nyani, who is a candidate from Alandur for the by-election to the Tamil Nadu Assembly. And these are all winning candidates, which you will know on May 16th.
You see the difference between Aam Aadmi Party candidates. Achha, all right. Come this side. Come. Acha. Is that okay?
Another opportunity.
So I was saying that one major difference that you can see between our candidates here and the kind of candidates fielded by the DMK, NRDMK, Congress, BJP, etc. By and large, if you look at their candidates, they are either corrupt politicians or their children, or occasionally some corrupt businessmen, etc., who are benefiting from their corrupt policies. Here we have a set of people who are social activists, writers, professors, etc., who have spent their lives, who have devoted their lives to bringing about improvement and change in this country and among the people. So this is a huge difference, even in the candidates.
Mr. Bhushan, in fact, Mr. Kejriwal he felt the decision to resign from Chief Minister's post.
All right. Yes.
Excuse me, silence please. Please, just 1 minute please. Yes sir.
Yeah, his decision to resign from the Chief Minister's post was a little hasty. Does that mean that the decision he took was on his own, without consulting the hierarchical committee members in the party?
No, I don't believe that the decision was wrong at all. I think it was the right decision. What Arvind said was that maybe we were not able to communicate the reasons for that decision very well to the people, and if that decision had been taken after some time by first communicating the reasons for that decision, then perhaps this kind of propaganda that has been done by the BJP and the Congress and to some sections of the media that we ran away from governance, etc., this would not have got any kind of traction among some sections of the people, which it appears to have got. Otherwise, I believe that the decision was absolutely right, because it was a resignation on principle. We had said we don't have a majority in the assembly. We had agreed to form the government when the Congress offered us unconditional outside support on the basis that we will fulfill our agenda and our manifesto. And the moment we are stopped from doing that, we will quit and call for fresh elections, which is exactly what we did. The day that they prevented us from even tabling the Jan Lokpal bill, which was the first and most important item on our agenda, we thought that there is no point in continuing with a lame duck government like this, and we might as well call for fresh elections, which will give us a clear, decisive majority. But unfortunately, again the Congress and the BJP have combined to allow President's rule to continue. They are not willing to allow fresh elections to take place. They have used that President's rule and the control over the central government to keep the assembly in suspended animation.
But this seems to have a negative impact on your prospects in the coming election. Is it so?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Initially, as I said, some people were influenced by this kind of propaganda. But the thing is, if we were wedded to office and power, then we would have continued. If we had been like the Congress and the BJP, that though you cannot do anything while being in government, but you will continue to stick to your chair because that chair offers you all kinds of perquisites as well as the ability to favor your cronies, etc. Therefore, you would have clung on to office. That's what the Congress and the BJP would have done. But we didn't want to do that.
So many of your candidates now say they have to arrange themselves for funds for the campaign. In a way, it's against the original model you had actually built on public funding. Is that a major challenge, and you also face the risk of going back to what other parties may face of bringing in dirty
Corrupt money, huh?
Corrupt money.
Well, we have so far been able to raise about 25 crores, 25, 26 crores maybe, centrally by way of donations for the party at the central level. That is certainly, it is only on the strength of those people that we have been able to put together a reasonable campaign. It's not the kind of campaign which we would have ideally liked to do. We would have liked to, because we are faced with parties who are spending 20, 30, 40 crores per constituency. We are not even spending, we are probably spending 10 lakhs per constituency. No more than 10 lakhs per constituency. There they are 100 times, 200 times more than us.
Just one word to add to that. I think we are the only party who, when we go to voters, we ask for a vote and we also ask them for money. We don't give them money, we ask them for money, and you'll be surprised how many of our voters give us 100 rupees, 200 rupees to fight the elections. So it's with that kind of money and the enthusiasm that we're able to fight the elections.
So you have been traveling across the country, and you have also visited a few parts in Tamil Nadu. So do you see a Modi wave in Tamil Nadu and in any other parts of the country as claimed by the BJP?
I don't see a Modi wave. I see Modi waving in all parts of the country. So, everywhere you have these huge banners, posters of Mr. Modi waving. So, a wave is sought to be created by thousands of crores of ill-gotten money which has come through these big corporates, etc., which money is being used for massive advertising across the country by hoardings in print, on television, on radio, as well as money is being used to truck in people who are paid money to come to their rallies to see Mr. Modi waving. So that's a wave which is sought to be created, and also through opinion polls. That has become another way of trying to create a wave. You see, but I don't see any evidence of any wave, etc.
That's why your party is concerned. So whatever travel that we do, we see that there is knowledge of the Aam Aadmi Party, even in the interior villages in Tamil Nadu here. But one accusation that the voter makes is that we can't vote for them because none from the party has come and interacted with us or seen us. So do you feel that the party has started the campaign very late as far as Local elections are concerned?
Yes, we have started a little late. We should have started earlier. Unfortunately, our process of candidate selection took time, and that is the reason why we had to start late. We are still trying to reach as many people as we can, and hopefully by the end of the campaign, in most constituencies where we have candidates, we would have reached most of the people.
And also, out of the 40 constituencies, we're contesting only in 25. The 15 we're not contesting in are mainly rural constituencies where it will be difficult to reach people in this short time. Even in the last 10 days of campaigning, one can see that we are reaching many more people. Knowledge of AAP is growing. Yesterday, when we went campaigning with the broom, people immediately recognized it as a symbol. 1 week back, they didn't recognize it. So I think things are improving a lot, and I think by the time the elections come, everybody will know about it.
Prashant, what do you think about the two accused who are contesting again this election?
Well, that shows that these political parties have become brazen. They have no respect or regard for the people of this country. That's the same brazenness that we saw among these parties when 90%, when crores of people came out on the streets to ask for the Jan Lokpal bill, every opinion poll was showing that more than 80% people in the country want the Jan Lokpal bill. But these parties which were in control of parliament, which are in control of parliament, they kept telling us, who are you? We are the elected representatives. We will do as we want. Who are you to tell us? So it's this kind of brazenness they feel that the people have no option, that they have to vote for either this corrupt of the DMK or that corrupt of the Anna DMK or this corrupt of the Congress or that corrupt of the BJP. It is that kind of feeling that no honest political party can defeat them in this electoral game, that no party which does not have these thousands of crores of corrupt money, which does not do divisive politics, which does not distribute cash and liquor, etc. before the elections, that no such party can defeat them in elections. This is bred from that kind of arrogance, that you put up these convicted people or convicted or really accused people in these elections.
तमिलनाडु डेवलपमेंट मॉडल की बात की जाए या फिर गुजरात डेवलपमेंट मॉडल की बात की जाए, आपने दोनों ही देखे तो क्या फर्क दिखता है आपको? क्या आपको लगता है कि तमिलनाडु का जो मॉडल है वो गुजरात से ज्यादा बेहतर है?
मॉडल तो सब वही हैं, सब बेईमानी पर चलते हैं, सब झूठे हवा बनाते हैं। वहाँ मोदी जी ने बोल दिया कि हमारे यहाँ गुजरात में ग्रोथ 11-12% पर एनम हुई है एग्रीकल्चर की, और जब फैक्ट्स देखे तो पता लगा कि ग्रोथ नहीं हुई है, डिक्लाइन हुआ है एग्रीकल्चर में। कहते हैं कि हमारी तो बड़ी क्लीन गवर्नमेंट है, कोई करप्शन नहीं है, और जिन लोगों को कोर्ट ने, हाई कोर्ट तक ने कन्विक्ट कर दिया है करप्शन के लिए, उनको अपने कैबिनेट में भर रखा है। ऐसे ऐसे क्रिमिनल्स जो कि मशीन गन लेकर पोलिंग बूथ अटेंडेंस को थ्रेटन करते हैं, उनको वो टिकट विकेट दे देते हैं। 10 साल से जन लोकपाल बिल बनने नहीं दिया। तो ऐसे जेंटलमैन आज ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई हम भारत को बिल्कुल गोल्डन एज में ले जाएंगे, हम तो ये कर देंगे वो कर देंगे। मतलब गुजरात
சார் கேட்குறீங்களா என்ன கேட்குறீங்களா சார்? He's saying that the media, we have always accused the media of taking money and supporting BJP or Congress, but we are also, aren't you also threatening the press in the same way like this?
No, I wish to make it clear that we have never said or never threatened the media or never said that the entire media is corrupt. Certainly not. Entire media is certainly not corrupt. There are a large number, especially large number of very good, very honest journalists in this country. But what has happened is, and that's something which everybody in this country, all the people must recognize and realize. Today, large sections of the large media, that is the big television companies, some of the big newspapers, etc., have come to be directly or indirectly controlled by those same corporations which are the corrupt crony capitalists of this country. So the same corporations who are trying to create a Modi wave also control substantial media in this country. Against Aam Aadmi Party, you do positive stories, only positive stories for Mr. Modi. In some of these media houses, this is what the reporters are being told. We know that.
Sorry, just a minute, please. This will be the last question. मतलब उनकी तमिल आगे
This side.
Sorry.
No, that's all. This
No,
side.
he wanted a Tamil explanation.
That's how you do it.
சுருக்கமாக தமிழாக்கம் அவர் என்ன சொன்னார்னா, ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் எல்லாரும் நிறைய பேர் ஆனஸ்டாக தான் இருக்கிறாங்க, எல்லாரும் கரப்ட் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட்னு சொல்லவே இல்லை, அப்படி சொல்லவும் மாட்டோம். நிறைய ஆனஸ்ட் ஜேர்னலிஸ்ட் இருக்காங்க, நிறைய வேலைகள், நல்ல வேலைகள் செய்கிறாங்க. ஆனால் நிறைய மீடியா ஹவுசஸ் கரப்டாக இருக்காங்க, நிறைய மீடியா ஹவுசஸ் கார்ப்பரேட் ஹவுசஸ் உடைய கையில் இருக்கிறாங்க. அதனால அவங்க வெளிப்படுத்துகிற ஸ்டோரிஸ் எல்லாம் அவங்க எஜமான்கள் சொல்கிறபடி தான் இவங்க வெளிப்படுத்துகிறாங்க. அதுதான் இந்த மோடி வே பற்றிலாம் இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டோரிஸ் வருதுன்னு ஐயா சொன்னார். So just one minute please, just we are having just the last two questions please, because 3 o'clock ஹாலை ஹேண்ட் ஓவர் பண்ணும், வேற யாரோ வர போறாங்க, இன்னொரு பிரஸ் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் நடக்க போகுது. லாஸ்ட் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ்.
Nilgiri is one important question, sir. On Nilgiri is the BJP which is campaigning against corruption, particularly when it comes to 2G. Their candidates' nominations have been mysteriously rejected. Do you think the elections in Nilgiri has also been fixed, sir?
It could well be the case. In any case, even if the elections are not fixed just now, they will be fixed after the elections. Because
this is the last question, please. Last question.
ஆம் ஆத்மியோட அடுத்த கட்ட நடவடிக்கை about the liquor issue என்ன மாதிரி இருக்கும்? ஊழலுக்கு எதிரான போராட்டம் மாதிரி நீங்க மதுவுக்கு எதிரான போராட்டம் நடத்துவீங்களா?
மதுக்கு எடுத்து கண்டிப்பாக போராட்டம் ஏற்கனவே நடத்துவோம். எங்கள் கொள்கை என்னென்னா, படிப்படியாக டாஸ்மாக் மூலமாக விற்பனை பண்ணுறது குறைக்கணும். ஏன்னா அரசாங்கத்துடைய வேலை இது இருக்கவே கூடாது. ஸோ அரசாங்கம் இந்த துறையிலேருந்து விலகணும். அரசாங்க துறையில் இருக்கிறதுனால தான் இந்த நிறைய முறைகேடுகள்லாம் நடக்குது. ரெண்டாவது முக்கியமான கருத்து நாங்கள் என்ன சொல்கிறோன்னா, ஒவ்வொரு கிராம பஞ்சாயத்துக்கும் ஒவ்வொரு வார்டுக்கும் அதிகாரம் இருக்கணும். அங்கே இருக்கிற மக்கள் முடிவு பண்ணணும், நம்ம கிராமத்தில் அல்லது நம்ம வார்டில் டாஸ்மாக் கடை வேணுமா இல்லையா. அந்த கிராம மக்கள் அனுமதிச்சான் மட்டும்தான் அந்த இடத்துல ஒரு டாஸ்மாக் கடை வரணும். இதுவும் நம்ம முக்கியமான கொள்கையாக இருக்குது. எப்படி நாங்கள் ஊழல் லஞ்சத்தை எதிர்த்து போராடணுமோ அதே மாதிரி மதுவையும் எதிர்த்து போராடுவோம்.
So last liquor racket in the election fast. Are you saying that this money is predominantly used for funding election campaigns or paying money for voters?
you see, they make so much money in various kinds of ways. Which money is used for election purposes, nobody knows. People used to ask me whether this money which is in Swiss banks is used for elections, etc. I used to say they have so much money, they don't need to bring back money from Swiss banks in order to use for elections. They have enough money here also. So therefore, which money is used, but obviously all this corrupt money or this pool of money, some of it would be getting used for elections also.
ரெண்டு கடைசி அறிவிப்புகள். ஒன்று, மத்திய சென்னையுடைய மேனிஃபெஸ்டோ பார்க்கணும், தாராளமாக வந்து பாருங்க. பிரபாகர் சார் வெளியிட்ட மேனிஃபெஸ்டோ, ஒவ்வொரு வேட்பாளரும் இதே மாதிரி அவங்க தொகுதிக்கு பொருத்தமான மேனிஃபெஸ்டோகள் வெளியிட போகிறாங்க. ரெண்டாவது, இந்த ப்ரெஸ் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் முடிஞ்ச உடனே நம்ம எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து இங்கேருந்து ட்ரெயின் எடுத்து ஆலந்தூர் போய் அங்கே பிரச்சாரம் செய்ய போகிறோம். அந்த பிரச்சார முறை பற்றி ஞானி சார் 2 வார்த்தைகள் பேசுவார்.
Thank you.
Just an announcement. I'm just making an announcement.
Okay.
இந்த நிகழ்ச்சி முடிந்த பிறகு இங்கிருந்து புறப்பட்டு நண்பர் பிரசாந்த் பூஷனும் அனைவரும் எல்லா சென்னை வேட்பாளர்களும், ஸ்ரீபெரும்புதூர் வேட்பாளர், ஆலந்தூர் வேட்பாளர் எல்லோரும் இங்கிருந்து ஃபோர்ட் ரயில் நிலையத்துக்கு போகிறோம். ஃபோர்ட் ரயில் நிலையத்துக்கு போயிட்டு ரயிலில் ஏறி ரயிலில் பயணம் செய்து அங்கே பழவந்தாங்கல் ரயில் நிலையத்துக்கு போகிறோம். பழவந்தாங்கல் ரயில் நிலையத்தில் இறங்கி அங்கிருந்து ஒரு 10 நிமிடம் தூரம் நடந்து ஊர்வலமாக சென்று அதன் பிறகு அங்கே ஒரு நங்கநல்லூர் சிவன் கோவில் கனரா வங்கி அருகே ஒரு திறந்தவெளி பொதுக்கூட்டம் இருக்குது. பொதுக்கூட்டம் சரியாக 5 மணிக்கு தோழர் பிரசாந்த் பூஷன் இங்கே பேசிய திமுக அதிமுக ஊழல்களையும் எப்படி 2G ஸ்பெக்ட்ரம் வழக்கில் குற்றவாளிகளை எல்லாம் உச்சநீதிமன்றம் வழியாக கைது செய்ய ஏற்பாடு செய்ய முடிந்தது என்ற அவருடைய அந்த அனுபவங்களை பற்றியும் பொதுமக்கள் கிட்ட நேரடியாக பேச இருக்கிறார். 5 மணிக்கு அங்கே பொதுக்கூட்டம் நடைபெறுகிறது. ஆனால் இங்கிருந்து முதல்ல ரயில் பயணம், பிறகு நடைப்பயணம், பிறகு மக்களோடு கருத்து பரிமாற்றம். இது மாலை 5 மணிக்கு அங்கே நங்கநல்லூர் நடைபெறுகிறது. அங்கே எல்லாம் முடிந்த பிறகு எல்லா வேட்பாளருமே அவர் மக்களுக்கு அங்கே அறிமுகம் செய்வதோடு அந்த நிகழ்ச்சி முடியும். அதனால் எல்லோரும் அங்கேயும் வரும்படி கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறேன். நன்றி.